Let's see how many recipes we can make out of one pumpkin.
I don't know. Leave it down in the comments down below what you guys are planning to make with your pumpkins, or like what you are carving out of your pumpkins. I've seen some real creative ones, and I'm such a big fan of how many people are so creative lately. It's so impressive, like how creative they are actually, and it is so nice to see how creative people are. Like, I've seen people do some crazy stuff with this sort of stuff. There we go. Okay, I think I'm done. Okay, design done. I'm not going to show you, but I'm just going to carve the lid out. Unfortunately, for me, it's a very shallow lid. Okay, that should have done it. Oh yeah. There we are. All done. Ooh. Okay, let's start off with the seeds. Now, the seeds need to be separated from the fibre, and the water will do this trick. It will naturally separate itself, which will reduce your work by half. You will find that the water also helps with removing any byproducts. So the seed has this like weird, slippery, slimy bit to it. Hopefully the water will do most of the work for you. Give it a quick rinse through. I did that just because I did have excess of the pumpkin juice on it. And then a quick towel dry, because essentially you want the oil and the seasoning to stick. Now it's up to you how you guys season this. There is no rule as to what you add. I've added a tablespoon of olive oil, really good high quality olive oil as well, with some spicy salt and some all-purpose seasoning, which is just a great way of just keeping it really neutral, really savoury, without adding anything specific. Up to you guys. If you wanted to make it sweet, you can add in sugar and some vanilla or cinnamon, make it super autumnal. That's also down to you guys as well. Now into the oven, it takes around about 10 to 15 minutes actually. Keep flipping it, it will burn.
Okie dokie. So the batch of pumpkin seed is done. It looks perfect, it tastes really good, and honestly these are great snacks. Don't waste the seeds. I feel like the seeds are probably the most like highly discarded part of the pumpkin, just because it is kind of like not edible straight, like not the most like attractive thing to eat, but it's really worth doing. I seasoned it with a bit of all-purpose seasoning and then a bit of MSG. You can do either. You can also use like the leftover ramen like seasoning packets if you want a specific flavor. Perhaps something sweet, so you can put a bit of sugar, a bit of like vanilla sugar, or cinnamon sugar would also work. But these are great. Like, there's so much, and my pumpkin was like below average size, so honestly you'll get probably more in terms of like a larger pumpkin. Really worth doing. Anyway, this is like the easiest part. This took about 10 minutes in the oven, so it should be something that you can do with like it's something you can do on the go sort of thing. And obviously like you can store this into a Tupperware box. I would recommend it in something a cool place, dark and cool, just so that they last longer. Now I don't recommend like keeping them for that long. They will go off because they're slightly damp and they've got moisture in it. There is a bit of a salt content on this one, so it will preserve. What I would suggest is something you can put on top of your like porridge if you don't want something savoury, or you can have it as a snack. Sometimes you can put it also on top of like specific meals, like some people do it on rice, so that's something worth trying. Anyway, this is part one done. Let's go on to the puree of the pumpkin. This is so good. Look how crunchy they are. You can eat the whole thing. So good.
On to the next step. Okay, so the pumpkin puree is fairly straightforward recipe. You're just essentially roasting the pumpkin until it's tender and soft. You can add seasoning, something like a bit of salt and oil if you like. Any other seasoning, if you're making it specifically savoury in a certain way, then go for it. I just chuck this into the oven.
I might just cut it. I just can't, I don't have the heart to cut my own, my own work. Okay, Houston, we may have a problem here because these doesn't fit. I don't want to cut it, but I have to. And those are the seeds that we're making as well.
Mine took around about an hour to 2 hours. I think about an hour 45 to be accurate. But what you want to do is it has to be super tender, and then you're going to blend it basically.
Okay, so part 2 of this video is pumpkin puree, and this is the leftover pumpkin from, like, you know, the taking out the seeds and all the guttering, and then obviously like broken down. I've cut them into half so that they roast easily. It's still roughly around about 60 minutes to roast them all the way through, and they should be really soft to touch. In the ideal world, I'm gonna let them cool down because they're gonna be blistering hot. But we're gonna put it into a food processor so that it can blend into a much nicer, smoother puree. But if you didn't want that and you wanted to put it straight into your soup, this is the perfect time. Just scoop it, put it into your pot, and obviously blend it when you do blend your vegetables with your soup. Yeah. Anyway, we still have to wait. But check out the puree. Oh, just a small note, you can do the puree both sweet and savoury. I'm going to go for a sweet version because we're going to do 2 different types of like desserts with the puree. Obviously, I think that's around about like 4 dishes I've made with the puree, but you can always stretch it to 5 depending on how much you use, and also whether you wanted a savoury option like a pumpkin lentil soup, something like that.
Okay, so the final part really is scooping out the flesh. Most of it is fairly straightforward. They're very tender and soft, so you can really do it with a spoon. There's going to be some parts of the scraps that are a little bit tougher because they're going to be more reduced in terms of water, and therefore you will find it a bit tougher to scrape. Try your best is all I'm saying. But the aim of here is you're blending it in a food processor for about 2 minutes or until smooth. Now, if you wanted to add seasoning now, that's also up to you. A bit of pumpkin spice, maybe some cinnamon, sugar, whatever you like, that's up to you. But I've got a plan for this paste. Now, you will get some residual liquid peeing out of the pumpkin. Keep that. It will come handy later on. Now, the puree should be really smooth and glossy. This is how you want it to be.
Part 1 and 2 is done. I'm going to show you it because basically the way this video will work is that these gonna be, at least the pumpkin puree, sorry, will at least be a fundamental part of another recipe. There are 2 more recipes after this because I'm doing it in 4 parts. Now this is like probably one of my favorite things I've ever done with a pumpkin, really, and it's so simple. It's puree. What you can do with this now is literally the sky's your limit. You can make it savory, you can make it sweet. This is unseasoned. So what you're doing is concentrating on just a pumpkin flavor and nothing else, which essentially means that you guys can basically do whatever you want with this now. You can do pumpkin pie, pumpkin whatever. The bonus out of this was something that I didn't figure out, or at least I didn't work out until now, but we've got pumpkin syrup, right? This is just straight up sugar. Oh, it's sweet. Straight up pumpkin sugar. It's literally the liquid that comes out of the pumpkin during and after it's been roasted and pureed, which basically means if you wanted a pumpkin like a pumpkin syrup like latte sort of thing, you just need to season it up with cinnamon and like mixed spice to make it pumpkin spice. It's not enough to obviously warrant a product, but I wanted to let you guys know that it's possible because these two aren't the only products you can make out of it, which is something that's really like special about it. And this is why it's so important not to waste food, because look at how many dishes I've already started to make and we haven't even finished with the final products yet. Enough rambling from me. If you've liked this video, please press the like button. Please also comment and subscribe and click on the bell. It's really helpful and it helps me out to know whether you like this sort of content. But also, please be aware that this is not the end of the video really. I've got another 2 videos coming out to showcase what we can use with the puree. I appreciate this alone may be a really standard, boring ingredient, but you can do so much with it. So look forward to our pumpkin cinnamon roll and our pumpkin pineapple bun, or pumpkin polo bao, which is like a typical Asian bun with a sort of a crusty biscuit layer. We're gonna use this as a filling. We're gonna definitely season the pumpkin, so please also check out those videos. As always, I'm gonna link all the videos or anything that I've used today and the ingredients all down in the description below. As always, please do leave a comment. I love responding to you guys. And thank you. I'm gonna love you and leave you. See you later.